Hello and thanks for joining us for the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Each weekend, we walk you through the headlines from this past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
The story starts in November of 2019 when WSU freshman Sam Martinez died from acute alcohol poisoning. The result, Pullman police and WSU agreed, of hazing at Alpha Tau Omega, or ATO.
Sam's death reshaped everything about our family and our future. And I stand in the shadow of that every day.
Sam's mother, Jolene House, says her family hasn't been the same since. Out of the tragedy, a new state law was passed in 2022 known as Sam's Law. The law requires schools to make hazing incidents public, and for anyone that kills or seriously hurts a person as a result of hazing, be charged with a felony. But a lawsuit the family filed against WSU in 2020, 2 years before the law went into effect, argues the university is also to blame alongside the fraternity, saying hazing was already known to occur at WSU.
They knew all along that this fraternity had a track record of hazing and assault and alcohol misuse and other misconduct. They knew that at the highest leadership levels at Washington State University, and they didn't tell anyone.
House says a Superior Court judge initially rejected her family's case. In January 2025, a Washington State appeals court ruled the university can be held liable. This was a first of its kind for Washington State. In response, WSU appealed the decision to the state Supreme Court back in October of the same year. WSU argued because the illegal hazing happened at ATO's off-campus house, it wasn't responsible. On Thursday, the High Court ruled the university does bear some responsibility as well, and the case now heads to trial. A trial, House says, was long overdue.
We're eager to share Sam's story in front of a jury. It's been a long time coming, and we are ready.
WSU released a statement acknowledging the court's ruling, saying they'll continue to engage in the situation as the case goes forward. For now, House is grateful to get the chance to share her son's story, hoping it'll help prevent hazing-related tragedies from happening in the future.
We're talking about this right as school is going to start again. It's so important to raise awareness of these issues and to protect young people from harm and from death.
Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Prepared to vote.
Well, there was quite a bit of dialogue at this week's city council meeting.
You got to go out and get pricing. You got to contact vendors. There's a lot of things that go into it.
But just because it requires multiple streams of action does not denote the importance of any one action.
Between public comments and testimony from council members ahead of the vote, several perspectives were shared, different opinions voiced.
This was created in response to the 2021 heat dome, but also in anticipation of increasing temperatures, right? Because it's not getting any cooler.
Spokane City Council members ultimately voted 5-2 in favor of adopting the proposed ordinance, a step which now requires landlords to have adequate cooling in each bedroom by 2032.
Throughout those discussions, it's come back to how much is a human life worth? What is the cost of doing nothing?
Supporters say this would help lower heat-related deaths and illnesses, while opponents argue it would impact affordable housing.
The ordinance needs better policy definitions. Adequate cooling is still subjective and difficult to measure.
As for the 2 no votes, those came from Councilman Michael Cathcart and Council President Betsy Wilkerson. Both expressed the need for adequate cooling, but shared hesitations in the overall approach.
And I do get concerned that we're calling this a right to cooling, which is going to end up being a misnomer because people are going to believe that they have a right to cooling, which means energy is free, which means that they don't have any responsibility there.
Also worth noting under this freshly passed ordinance, if a unit is not kept cool, a tenant has the right to buy cooling equipment themselves and then seek up to $500 in reimbursement from the landlord.
Some of them may use that as an excuse to vacate. I'm not saying that they will, but some could.
This problem requires a multifaceted solution. Those of us on the ground will continue to do our part, and you must do yours.
Reporting in Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Potential for a data center prompted a lot of feedback from the community, who shared their thoughts at this week's city council meetings, and to the county commissioners and planning committee, urging them to consider moratoriums, zoning, and policy to regulate data center development.
People with land that is within 5 miles of these data centers, they're not going to be able to sell their homes. They're going to be upside down in them because no one wants to live close to these things. So please don't do that to our kids. If you have kids, if you have grandkids, if you care at all, don't do something that's going to poison our community more.
Some people urge the county and the city to prohibit data centers altogether. Others say they know data centers are inevitable, but called on the county leaders to move forward with more transparency.
Anybody can say we're bringing jobs. Let's see the numbers. Let's see what kind of jobs. Are these working class jobs? Are these union jobs? Are these jobs that are paying a living wage? Are these jobs that we want here?
The data center work group hopes to answer those kinds of questions for the city. The group is made up of city employees from multiple departments to evaluate and help develop recommendations. In a presentation at Wednesday's city council meeting, the mayor's office presented fundamental questions to guide the work group's focus, centering around what types of circumstances a data center could be allowed under and how it fits in with the city's environmental and economic goals. Regardless of whether people at the council meeting support a data center in their community, they urge the city to move forward responsibly.
Hopefully the big ask is this moratorium doesn't become an absolute no forever. That there's a path forward that's reasonable, makes sense. Our members are pressing us every day, new construction opportunities to grow our economy and have them strive locally.
I really would encourage the council to, during this data center moratorium, really lean into the science and the negative impacts that data centers have in their current form on human health.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. It's been a busy week across the inland Northwest, and we want to help catch you up on some stories you might have missed.
Yeah, his name is Matthew Hayes, and he says he's frustrated with how the whole situation played out. The two-day bar exam brought hundreds of law school graduates from across Washington to Yakima to take the exam at the Yakima Convention Center. We confirmed several of those people are Gonzaga School of Law graduates. Anger and frustration.
It was a real nightmare.
Or what Matthew Hayes took away after coming back from Yakima, where he planned to take the Washington State bar exam alongside others. He graduated from Gonzaga School of Law and has his sights set on becoming an attorney in Spokane.
I was planning tentatively to have a law license this fall, September, have a law license and be ready to help people.
But now that's not going to happen. Technology issues led to the cancellation of the Washington State bar exams. The State Bar Association says testing was supposed to be held at the Yakima Convention and Events Center on Tuesday and Wednesday. When the issue was not getting resolved, officials decided it wasn't safe to resume testing. They have not said what caused the technology failure.
Everybody prepared for months for this exam, high stakes. A lot of people have jobs lined up that are contingent on passing this exam.
The State Bar Association is now working to schedule a makeup exam in late summer or early fall. Applicants can also transfer to the next exam in February or receive a full refund. But reimbursements for travel and lodging, Hayes says, weren't a part of the refund.
There was never any kind of discussion about reimbursement or the money part aspect of it, which is pretty offensive and pretty tone deaf, if you ask me.
For now, Hayes is taking time to look at what he can do as he waits for the next opportunity to take the exam, saying the impact goes far beyond the test takers themselves.
My classmates were going to go out there and do great things to help this nation and the justice system, victims, criminals, everything under the sun, to try to uphold the rule of law, and we can't do that now.
We reached out for further comment from the State Bar on the issue, but they declined to go into any more details. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Today, crews are back on the water, hoping that their latest efforts will help bring closure to this paddleboarder's family. Driving in the fog with your high beams on, that's what Spokane County Sheriff's Office is looking for the Bear Lake paddleboarder who reportedly drowned almost a week ago, too. Since the reported disappearance, SCSO has used tools like sonar, a remote-operated vehicle, drones, and even divers to search the 35-acre lake, but due to thick silt and dense vegetation, SCSO says divers can't see their hand in front of their face. The incident happened last Friday after reports say the paddleboarder fell into the water and did not come back up. Initially, Bear Lake was closed the weekend after the incident while crews searched for the man, but the search was suspended on Monday due to low visibility and safety concerns. Today, the search resumed. However, SCSO says conditions had not changed, so crews were unable to continue. Crews used sonar today, as well as canine teams, to try to pinpoint an exact location of where to search, but did not find the body. A question we've been getting since the initial announcement about the suspended search is why is the lake still open to the public even though a body has not been found just yet? SCSO says this is the protocol for all of these types of incidents on any body of water. They say they do not close the waterways unless there is an active search happening. The Sheriff's Office confirms with me that if the paddleboarder is not found today, crews will continue to reevaluate and search the water until the paddleboarder is reunited with their family. In Spokane County, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
For most people, Cedar was the Spokane County Interstate Fair's mascot. For Honey Smith, she was an animal she'd helped raise since the day she was born.
We are really into the husbandry of our animals and making sure that they are living their best life. And we watch them extremely close on a daily basis.
We spoke with Smith by phone as she continues caring for her herd during one of the busiest times of the year. She says that daily care is what makes losing an animal so difficult. When Cedar died unexpectedly, she says her family immediately began searching for answers.
My husband and I have racked our brains on every little detail of every little thing of every day. And there is just nothing that we can say that was it.
Smith says losing livestock is something many ranchers experience, but that doesn't make it any easier, especially when you've watched an animal grow from a struggling newborn to a community favorite.
As we would do anything for our animals. I mean, they have creeks, they have shade, they have hundreds of acres. I know other cattlemen and ranchers will get it. I know that people that don't live on a farm won't get it. And we don't understand why it was Cedar. That's the part that we just don't understand is like, why now and why her?
As a school nurse and a rancher, Smith says both careers have taught her the same lesson. Sometimes you can do everything right and still experience loss.
My husband's a fireman. We work with people I'm a nurse. We work with people on a daily basis in some of their roughest moments. And we just want them to know that there's still more to life. There's still positivity. There's still things to look forward to. There's still blessings in every day. And that's what we're trying to focus on as we move forward and kind of grieve.
Smith says she hopes people remember that behind every animal at the fair is a family that has spent years caring for it. Emily Fox-Millian, KREM 2 News.
Yeah, well, it's easy to remember the big stories, the crimes that lead the news, the ones that spark conversation. But what about the thousands of other reports that don't necessarily make the headlines? Well, when you look at them all together, they can tell a different story. And this behind me shows crime data from Idaho State Police from the last 5 years for the 10 North Idaho counties closest to us. So as you can see, since 2021, there was a little bit of an increase in crime here in 2022, but then slowly it has been decreasing by about 1,000 reports every year since. In Idaho State Police's most recent crime report just sent out tonight, in 2025, crime across the state has decreased, not just in North Idaho. But let's take a look at some of the counties closest to us. Really, the ones I want to focus on are the ones that barely had any change compared to the year prior. That's Kootenai, Idaho, and Nez Perce counties. Kootenai County has seen a close to 6% decrease in crime compared to last year, but reports of crimes like homicide and assault have seen an increase in 711% respectively. To clarify, the 700% increase seen in Kootenai County comes from the fact that in 2024 there was 1 reported homicide, and that number jumped to 8 last year. Idaho and Nez Perce are also seeing single-digit to less than single-digit decreases, but are seeing an increase in drug offenses and arson reports. Out of the 10 North Idaho counties closest to us, ISP reports only 1 county increased in crime from the year prior. That's Lewis County, with offenses like destruction, larceny, and fraud either doubling or almost tripling in numbers. Not even an hour after the newest crime stats came from ISP, Idaho Governor Brad Little sent us a statement saying in part, "Idaho continues to be one of the safest places to live, work, and raise a family, and the latest crime report is another testament of our commitment to public safety. This progress does not happen by accident. It is the result of the dedication, professionalism, and sacrifice of Idaho's law enforcement officers, first responders, prosecutors, corrections workers, and community partners who work every day to protect our neighborhoods and keep Idahoans safe." The Idaho State Police Crime Dashboard allows anyone to search crime trends by county and city. We posted a link to that dashboard on our website, KREM.com, if you wanted to see how your community has changed over time as well. In studio, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 News. You're watching the Week in Review, where we bring you some of the biggest news stories of the past week.
Yeah, when those wildfires start, a lot of us just see those flames, but what you're not seeing is those paramedics, those EMTs that are often sent to support those firefighters.
AMR Spokane has a specialized wildland medical team made up of paramedics and EMTs who deploy to active fires across the Northwest. Right now, several Spokane providers are assigned to the Pearl Hill and Maudrite fires in Washington, as well as the Akawa Butte and Castle fires in Oregon. Their job isn't to fight the fire. It's to make sure the people who are have immediate access to medical care.
Most people know AMR as the ambulance that shows up when they call 911, but we also have a lot of specialty teams that interact with different things and needs across the country, one of which is our wildland medical team.
These medics work in some of the most remote parts of the fire line, areas where getting to a hospital can take time. They deploy with specialized medical gear, four-wheel drive ambulances, and equipment designed to reach firefighters working far from the nearest road.
While we're not fighting the fire directly, we are right on the fire line, so we will strategically deploy around the active wildfire to ensure that we can quickly respond to something happening to any of the crews that are currently battling the fire.
And while many of the calls involve heat illness, smoke inhalation, or minor burns, the team is also prepared for more serious emergencies. Bush says they've treated firefighters injured by falls, tools, and falling trees. Deployments can last from just a few days to several weeks, with crews living in remote fire camps until they're rotated home.
We have folks that, and not necessarily AMR, but these wildland firefighters are in there digging line, making sure that the fire doesn't spread, doing a lot of preventative work to keep the fire from spreading further, and that's really dangerous.
AMR officials did tell me that even though those paramedics and those EMTs from here in Spokane are off in the inland Northwest helping with those fires, their positions have been temporarily covered and it won't impact emergency services. In Spokane, Emily Fox-Millian, KREM 2 News.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on the KREM 2 app. Just scan the QR code on your screen to watch for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching the KREM 2 News Week in Review.